Hi, this is Tim from Racing Central with a review of the PXN V10 Force Feedback Racing Wheel, which comes with a shifter and pedals in their 3-in-1 set. If ever there was an award for bad timing, PXN would get it from me. They sent me this wheel to review free of charge very early in exchange for a fair and honest opinion, and I've made them wait for months before I was able to get this done, as they got to me right before I got a medical diagnosis I was focused on. For what it's worth, they were patient, and I appreciate it. The PXN V10 appears to be designed as an entry-level wheel priced to compete with all of the Logitech non-direct drive wheels and Thrustmaster products such as the T150 or T248. Their first force feedback wheel, PXN say their dual motor system delivers up to 3.2 Newton meters of peak torque through 270 or 900 degrees of rotation, and is compatible with PC, Xbox One, Series S, Series X, not the first generation of Xbox One though, and PS4. I really appreciate the overall design of both the wheel and pedals, which look modern and effective, although I couldn't help but immediately notice the similarities between the face and body of the PXN V10 and Mad Catz Pro racing wheel, which PXN told me they purchased the rights to. This was most likely the best wheel Mad Catz produced, so perhaps this is a good thing, as they told me they have worked to improve the internals from the original. The wheel has a great array of buttons laid out nicely on the front, paddle shifters and analog paddles on the back, and although the wheel itself appears to be made of cheaper materials you'd expect with a budget wheel like this, it doesn't look as ugly and cheap as some of the other entry-level wheels on the market. The wheel hub itself is fairly small, which admittedly makes me concerned about the lifespan of what will be tightly packaged internals, but I'm impressed with the overall design and the surrounding mounting bracket, which honestly only adds to the visual design of the wheel. The pedals appear to be metal plating over a plastic frame, and the rear looks quite similar to the brake pedal of the Thrustmaster T3PM or even the TLCM pedals, except that in this case you can adjust the spring quickly and easily by rotating a plastic nut to decrease paddle travel distance. Provided this solution can stand the test of time and significantly stiffens the pedals without slipping or cracking under load, it's quite an ingenious way to allow for quick adjustments. The fully plastic 6-speed gated H-pattern shifter is fairly basic and doesn't feel as durable as the wheel or pedals, but doesn't feel that far removed from what Logitech have been shipping for many years either. It just seems to have more of a retro feel than the modern looking wheel or pedals, so looks slightly out of place being in the same box. Attaching the wheel to the hub is easy after you line up the notch and turn the fastening circle to tighten. The desk or cockpit mounting is quick, with all hardware such as bolts you might need supplied in the box. Setting up the wheel on Windows 10 and 11 was straightforward. It was detected straight away and showed with all the axes and buttons in Game Controllers section of the control panel. Note that you can use the PXN V10 as a non-force feedback wheel by simply not plugging in the power supply, so make sure you do that if you want it enabled. My first impressions after mounting were negative and related to both the size and angle of the wheel compared to pretty much everything else on the market, which actually made it quite difficult for me to use. Though I am sure it's something I would get used to, the wheel itself is tiny and despite level mounting is angled slightly away from the screen at the top of the wheel rim in a way that won't suit either my cockpit or desk. The pedals, even with the brake spring nut set to allow for minimum travel, is nowhere near stiff enough or as strong as any of the pedals I compared it to in my initial visual inspection. No doubt you can get used to the soft pedals and use them, just absolutely do not expect the feel of the Thrustmaster T3PM or TLCM pedals I mentioned. After some extended usage, I also realized these pedals stand much more vertically than any others I have used, including in real cars, and this caused the top of my feet to ache where I'd seemingly never used the muscles before. They proved uncomfortable for me to keep using. I tested the PXN V10 in various different software titles, including Assetto Corsa Competizione, Automobilista 2, Dirt Rally 2, F122, iRacing, rFactor 2, and WRC 10. I was able to get the wheel working as a controller in everything except F122. And I was able to get force feedback working in everything except obviously F122, Dirt Rally 2, and rFactor 2. The force feedback worked in everything else, but it didn't really feel very good. It felt weak overall, and although it had a best showing in iRacing, it still didn't feel strong enough, and there was basically no force feedback at all when you either hit the wall or went off track. The wheel and pedals look good, are bundled with a shifter, feel acceptable to use as entry-level controllers, and are compatible across some major consoles as well as PC. While there is some value there when comparing with lower-end wheels lacking a shifter or any that are platform specific, I'm really struggling to get past the Amazon price being just $5 less at the time of writing than the tried and tested, and yes, technologically dull Logitech G29 with pedals and a shifter. Were it to be priced at around $250 or less, I think they would have an easy product to sell, and it may even go a long way towards people overlooking PXN being a brand they don't recognize. The size of the wheel, angle of both the wheel and pedals, and overall weak or non-existent force feedback in nearly all simulations is something that does set the product well behind Thrustmaster and Logitech in terms of user experience. I really wish that wasn't the case, because I do genuinely appreciate what they've tried to do, but at this price point they've failed. Did I say failed? Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it's just overpriced for what it is. I did reach out to PXN to ask if they might consider a price change to better compete with the similarly priced wheels, and they said they will probably adjust it in the near future. They also advised it may be cheaper to purchase from their website rather than from Amazon. If they do deliver on a price change, and maybe get a few developers to auto-detect their wheel and auto-load a profile, then I can see them genuinely holding a place in the budget and starter controller category. If they don't, then your money is better spent elsewhere. So that's my review. I hope it's useful for anyone trying to make a purchase decision, and please subscribe. Thanks. Bye.